It is important that you don't just randomly throw RFBs out in neutral without calculation, as it will become predictable and lead you to getting punished. Start off by never doing them in neutral, and slowly try them out as you gain more experience. Also, RFB's usefulness generally decline as you fight weapons with faster starting hyper armor attacks. The two fundamental ways of using rope firebombs in a way that makes them hard to punish are a tool used to disengage, a tool used to stuff aggression, generally pursuits. This forms the core behind the usage of rope firebombs. They are a generally defensive tool used to control the pace of a fight and stuff aggression. Suppose for a moment that you are using Goddard twin swords and that your opponent is using PKCS. You trap your opponent in the corner after landing 3 R1s and you are now out of stamina. Without RFBs, you are guaranteed to take 2 PKCS R1s and are likely to get caught in the CS vortex. This is obviously a suboptimal outcome for you. If instead, you exploit the weakness that RFBs consume no stamina and do not require stamina to use, you can safely R1 3 times and queue an RFB that will beat out or trade with any retaliation option the opponent has and allow you to either safely reset to neutral or continue the corner pressure. Higher risk and more advanced ways of landing RFBs rely pretty heavily on prediction. Fuzzy guarding with RFBs nets you a guaranteed punish on weapons without hyper armor that combos into an R1 and gives you the initiative. Baiting out your opponent's predictive punish by running in and using an RFB is another way to land them. This is quite matchup specific though, and relies on your opponent being unable to reaction whiff punish your attacks, and is just generally high risk, low reward. Please do not use an RFB on Wake Up. There isn't a situation that benefits from it, and all it achieves is giving your opponent a free get up. All they need to do is simply reaction roll the rope firebomb to completely invalidate this Wake Up. Mix-ups in general depend on how good you are at reading your opponent or picking up on your opponent's habits. So, presuming you don't have a lot of experience fighting the opponent, you want to start out by always confirming a landed RFB into standing R1s to condition your opponent into rolling afterwards. The idea behind this is to get more damage, as a semi-charged R2 will deal more damage than a single R1. You can true combo any attack that is as fast or faster than a 2-hand greatsword R1, 600 milliseconds. Introduce R2 and weapon swap mix-ups after the opponent has been conditioned, then just cycle between forcing rolls and mixing up. RFB's hitbox start as soon as the model spawns. This means you can early hit with them. Utilizing this is one of the reliable ways to use RFBs aggressively, which basically has you walk past or turn your back to the opponent to early hit. A good choice if you finish a combo on low stamina but have the positioning advantage and wish to continue aggressing. You can actually confirm them from R1s as well by axelling them. Again, a good choice if you're low on stamina or try to upset your opponent's focus. As for priority, if the RFB is cleanly landed, you always get priority. If you trade with the opponent's running R1, rolling R1, or second R1, you should be able to trade combo them. If they trade with an RFB in neutral, the priority becomes more nuanced as you need to determine whether they applied hit stun to you first, then got hit by the RFB, or they traded at about the same time. If the former situation plays out, you should have priority over them, but if the latter plays out, it will result in a trade or they win, depending on the latency. You can slightly alter this interaction by excelling your attack, but from what I've tested, not all weapons were affected by this equally. One-hand dagger benefited the most. Rope firebomb combos and priority in relation to crossbows have been outlined before by the Grim Sleeper. I'll leave his video in the description as he covers the topic better than anyone else could. Lastly, I would like to add that rope firebombs suffer greatly with increased ping, so if you identify an opponent has high ping, just don't use them. It can be very frustrating to fight a good RFB user. It can feel like RFBs are a get out of jail free card. There are multiple ways to punish them. The safest option you have is to throw out a few knives or shivs and get a small punish. For a more substantial punish, you can use an attack with fast starting hyper armor, which completely shuts down predictable bomb usage. and relieves the RFV user questioning the point of all things. Obviously, Expo and E-bolts will shut them down if used in neutral. In early 2019, it was discovered that you could RC the animation that rogue firebombs have. I'll leave credit to Kieran, KQP, and Grim for making the videos on this tech already, both of which go over this in solid detail. It is very useful on paper. In practice, it is hard to pull off in a fight without macros, and has seen very limited usage in the player base. Mastering this tech would be most beneficial when used as an Okizemi tool, essentially covering the point at which you are vulnerable on wake up, and a follow-up R1 covering the needed roll. What have we learned? Rogue firebombs are an effective tool for safely disengaging with your opponent and a useful mix-up tool. If you take anything away from this, just learn how to disengage with them, as the low effort required to learn versus the utility it provides is vastly skewed in favour of the utility. I'm Volharian. Thanks for watching.